Hi, my name is Ahmad Al-Assad, and in this video I'll go through the Introduction to Preemptive Analytics Hands-On Lab. This video was recorded for hands-on visualstudio.com. PreEmptive Analytics Community Edition for Team Foundation Server is a third-party tool created by PreEmptive, which allows you to gain insight into errors experienced by your customers. By instrumenting your application for analytics, you'll be able to see these exceptions in Visual Studio Team Foundation Server 2012, so you can easily triage them right alongside your bugs. Exceptions are analyzed, correlated, and distilled into a set of production incidents based on the rules and operational thresholds you specify. To do this lab, you need to download the Visual Studio 2012 virtual machine provided by Microsoft. This lab consists of the following exercises: installing PreEmptive Analytics Community Edition, instrumenting an application, mapping the application into create incidents in Visual Studio Team Foundation Server 2012, and viewing incidents in Visual Studio Team Foundation Server 2012. Exercise number 1. Installing PreEmptive Analytics Community Edition. In this exercise, you will learn how to install PreEmptive Analytics Community Edition in a locally hosted scenario. Log in as Julia. And then open the TFS Server Administration Console. Click on the Preemptive Analytics node. Then click on the Install Preemptive Analytics Community Edition link. Click Next. Accept the agreement. Now on this screen, you need to specify a TFS account that has the permissions to create and edit work items in your TFS server. In this lab, we're going to use Julia's account. And then we click on the install button or click enter. When performing a basic installation like this, all components will be installed to the same machine. The Preemptive Analytics Aggregator service will be installed and set to start automatically. A new database will be created in your local instance of SQL Server to store exception report data, and a new website will be created in IIS to contain the Preemptive Analytics endpoint message and query services, which receive exception report messages from instrumented applications and provide access to stored messages. Now, on this screen, you have the option to change the endpoint link for your service. Now on this screen, you have the option to change the URI for the Preemptive Analytics endpoint. Just gonna go with the default URI. Now it's time to configure the Preemptive Analytics Aggregator. Click the Add icon to add a TFS server. For this lab, we're selecting the Fabricam fiber collection. Then click Connect. Now, because we're using the Community Edition, we can only add one TFS instance. If you would like to add more than one TFS instance, then you need to upgrade to the professional version of PreEmptive Analytics. Now click on the Apply link to select the team project. When clicking the Apply link, PreEmptive Analytics is importing the incident work item type and some sample PreEmptive Analytics reports into the project template. In addition, the project is configured with settings that the PreEmptive Analytics Visual Studio extension needs in order to be able to configure exceptions and rules. PreEmptive Analytics is now set up with the FiberCom Fiber project and is ready to accept exceptions from instrumented applications. That was the end of exercise number 1. Exercise number 2. Instrumenting an application. In this exercise, you will learn how to instrument an existing application using PreEmptive, obfuscator, and analytics. Switch to the virtual machine. Remember, we're still logged in as Julia. Start Visual Studio 2012 and open the FabricCom Fiber.callcenter solution. You can either open it from the Recent menu or go to Team Explorer, Projects and My Team, connect to Team Project and connect to the FabricCom Fiber collection. And then click on Source Control Explorer, open the Dev branch, FabricCom Fiber.callcenter folder, and double click on the FabricCom Fiber.callcenter solution. Now we'll modify the source code and add an exception for the purpose of this lab. Switch to Solution Explorer. Expand the controllers folder under the FabricCom Fiber.web and open the Service Tickets controller. Now if you're following the lab, you can either scroll down to the Create method, which is at line 92, or you can use the Control G feature and type 92. That will take you to the 92nd line in the document. Or you can use the new feature in Visual Studio 2012 where you can expand the class in Solution Explorer and scroll down till you find the Create method. I know that there are 2 of them. I just wanted to show that this option is also available. Now we're going to add the line to throw an exception. So I just copied and pasted this line from the document, then save the document, and then build the solution. Now we need to instrument the web application so that exception information makes its way back to us. To do this, we will use the PreEmptive obfuscator and analytics tool to configure the exception endpoint address and to identify the application source. Open the obfuscator and Analytics Community Edition by clicking on the Tools menu and click on PreEmptive obfuscator and Analytics. Click on the Inputs node and then click the Add Input button. Then navigate to the bin folder of our web application and select the FabricCom Fiber.web.dll. Then click the Open button. Then click on Analytics under the Configuration Options folder, Attributes tab, and then right click on the DLL we just added and click Add Attribute. Select the preemptive.attribute.application attribute and click OK. This attribute defines a GUID that ensures that the data from this application stays separate from other applications that our company releases. This is the place to enter the name, version, and a unique identifier for the application. For the purpose of this lab, we will use a randomly generated GUID by clicking on the space next to the GUID attribute and then clicking on the ellipsis button. Now right-click on the DLL and click on the Add Attribute context menu. This time we will add a business attribute. This attribute distinguishes our company using a GUID provided by PreEmptive. Next, we need to specify the methods that denote where we want to begin and end data gathering by using setup attribute and teardown attribute. Expand the fabricom.web.dll, the fabricom.web.app_start namespace, then inject MVC3 and click on the start method. Then right-click on the start node and click Add Attribute. Select the preemptive.attributes.setup attribute and click OK. Click on the space next to the custom endpoint property and enter your PreEmptive Analytics endpoint address. Now click on the stop method, right-click and add attribute, and select the preemptive.attributes.teardown attribute option and click OK. At this point, our application is configured to send data to the configured endpoint. Now let's see how we can specify that some exception data should be collected. Under the Fabricom fiber.web.dll, expand the Fabricom fiber.web.controllers namespace, and then expand the service tickets controller class. Then right-click on the node that represents the create method and click Add Attribute. Select the exception track attribute and click OK. Since we are applying this to a specific method, only locally unhandled exception will be tracked. Now click on the renaming node and then select the Options tab. The reason we're unchecking this option is because we're only interested in the analytics feature and we're not interested in the dotfication feature. We could have also disabled this feature by right-clicking on renaming and uncheck enable, like the following. Then save the configurations by clicking on the Save button. And enter Fabricom fiber.dotfiscator as the name of the project and then click Save. Then click on the Build button in the PreEmptive.Fiscator and Analytics CE window. This will build a new version of the Fabricom fiber.web.dll with the specified instrumentation included. In the next exercise, we will create a subscriptions for the application so the generated exceptions will appear in TFS. And that concludes exercise number 2. Exercise number 3. Mapping the application to create incidents in TFS. In this exercise, you will learn how to map the instrumented application to the Team Foundation server. Go back to the VM and switch to Visual Studio. Click on Team Explorer, Team Explorer only shows the Preemptive Analytics Hub for team projects that have Preemptive Analytics applied to them. Note that in the event that you don't see Preemptive Analytics link show up, go ahead and try restarting Visual Studio. Click on the Preemptive Analytics link. Then click on the Configure link under Settings. This will bring up the Preemptive Analytics option window. Make sure that the Subscriptions node is selected and then click on the Add button to add a subscription. Use Fabricam Fiber as a name. For the company ID and application ID fields, we need to fill those fields from the Preemptive.Fiscator and Analytics tool. So switch back to the Preemptive tool and select the Analytics node and scroll all the way up and click on the business attribute. Copy the company key GUID, go back to Visual Studio and paste that GUID into the company ID field. Then switch back to the .Fiscator tool, select the application attribute and copy the GUID that was generated by the tool. Switch back to Visual Studio and fill the application ID with the copied GUID. Remember, you will have different GUIDs than the ones I'm showing. For the purpose of this lab, set the threshold to 1 so we can see the incident report after just one exception. Then click Close to close the window and click the Yes button to save the configuration. The last step is to drop the Fabricam Fiber.web.dll built by the .Fiscator to the output directory. We can either use Windows Explorer to navigate to the bin folder for our web project, or we can easily use Visual Studio to go there. Find the web project, right-click, and click Open Folder in File Explorer. Then double-click on the bin folder. Notice that there is a .Fiscated folder created by the .Fiscator. Open the .Fiscated folder, copy the DLL, and we'll paste it into the website directory. At this point, we're done mapping our application to create incidents in TFS in case of exceptions. In next exercise, we will cause an exception to occur and see the resulting incident work item in TFS. In this exercise, you will see Preemptive Analytics in action as the instrumented application hits the exception, pushes data to the configured endpoint, and an incident is ultimately surfaced to the TFS server. Switch back to the VM open Internet Explorer and click on the FF Intranet portal. Now click on the Create button and boom, here's our exception. Now let's go back to Visual Studio to see the incident. Click on Team Explorer. Make sure we are in the Preemptive Analytics view. If not, just go back to the home view and then click Preemptive Analytics and then click on All Incidents link. Notice that the incident has been created. Now let's view the incident. Now in this view you can see the stack trace information and how many times the exception was experienced by customers. In the event that you experience trouble with Preemptive Analytics, check the event log for more information. In addition, see the troubleshooting section of the help file located in the Preemptive Solutions installation folder. This lab was an introduction to Preemptive Analytics. We learned how to install Preemptive Analytics Community Edition, how to instrument an application using Preemptive.Fiscator and Analytics, how to map the instrumented application to Team Foundation Server, and how to view incidents in Team Foundation Server. At this point, I would like to thank you for watching this video.